So welcome everybody, and we are very excited to celebrate International Human Rights Day with you, and to launch our 160 Girls Virtual Justice Clubs, and this is a bit of a VIP event for us, and a bit of a sneak insider's look at our new 160 Girls Virtual Justice Club app. It's not an app that you'll be able to download from the Google Play Store or any other place where apps may be available, and that's intentional because it is an interactive app that involves engagement with our legal interns and our mentors, and you'll hear more about that later. And it also includes outreach to the community. So it's not a public app. So this is a little insider's sneak preview that we'll be providing you today. And basically, what we want to tell you the story of the 160 Girls Virtual Justice Club experience, and it really started for me at the end of March with a bit of a kind of crisis moment when I was sitting in the Philip Goldson International Airport, and the global pandemic was crashing down all around. The airport was closing down. I was hoping to get on the last flight out of the airport to Canada, actually to anywhere, but to Canada seemed like a good option at the time. And the justice clubs that we were running in Kenya were shutting down because the schools were closing. And I was hearing from our justice club leaders how urgent it was that the clubs not close, and how important it was to them that the clubs continue in the face of what they saw coming. And what they saw coming very, with great prescience, was the fact that they were going to be isolated at home, they and their peers, with potential perpetrators. And sure enough, that's what came to pass. And we know that from March till July of this year, according to the Ministry of Health statistics in Kenya, 4,000 girls were raped and became pregnant. So that's just the girls that reported pregnancies as a result of rape during that period. So an increase over what we would usually see during that period, and a direct result, we believe, of the pandemic. So I needed a way to ensure that we could respond to the call for support that we were hearing from the girls, and came up with the idea of a virtual justice club, which seemed like a very simple response to the challenge at the time. And it was really made possible by the huge generosity and amazing collaboration of two key funders, the team at Grand Challenges Canada and at the Peter Cundall Foundation, who I have to say are dream funding partners, that they reached out to us at that crisis moment and said, anything that they could do to help promote and advance a response to the COVID crisis, they were standing by. So we took them up on that amazing offer, and just recently we launched the virtual justice clubs, and so today we're going to hear that story in detail from some of our key team members. But really, it went from that little spark of an idea at the Philip Goldson International Airport to just recently our virtual justice club leaders literally on the edge of their seats with their devices and like waving their hands in the air and calling out, "Mr. Martin, Mr. Martin, I'm not downloading, I'm not downloading." And I think like it's a hilarious IT user experience everywhere. But 15 minutes before that, these kids had never held a device. 10 minutes before that, they didn't know what downloading was. And now they're demanding like instant download, which I think, we can all identify with. So we have come a long way in a short period of time, and we look forward to the continued rollout of the virtual justice clubs, and eventually having a hybrid model of the conventional justice clubs and the virtual justice clubs. But now I'd like to hand it over to our virtual justice club program officer, Madeline Lavallee-Gordon. And Madeline is not just an expert in international development and and admired for her excellent communications and organizational skills. But I think my favorite characteristic of Madeline's is that I can ask her half a question in terms of an IT high-tech app situation, and she gives me a full answer, and I fully appreciate that. So I'm going to hand it over to Madeline now, and then check back in.
Thank you so much, Fiona. So as Fiona mentioned, I am the Virtual Justice Club's program officer, and I will be giving you a little overview of our program today. And just a note, so this is the agenda that you can see here. This is everything that we'll be going over in the next hour. And I just wanted to remind everyone that if you do have any questions as we go through, you will have an opportunity to write them in the Zoom chat, and we will answer them during the Q&A at the end. So in terms of our program, so all of this illustration and all of the lovely illustrations you'll see throughout the presentation today were created by artist Andrea Dorfman, and she illustrated all of our lessons and newsletters. And all of the photos that you will see today were taken by our photographer in Kenya, Brian Otieno. So the transition, as Fiona mentioned, we worked when COVID hit to transition our Justice Club program into the virtual Justice Clubs. And this involved a few different components. So we started working with our app developer, Clayton, who you'll hear from later today, and our app designer, Tanis, to create an app that was as user-friendly as possible, because like Fiona mentioned, many of the participants had never held a device before, never navigated through an app. So that was first and foremost of paramount importance. And then we simultaneously started working to convert our existing human rights law curriculum into online content. So here are some of the examples of the lesson topics that we cover in the curriculum. So we have the background of the 160 Girls Project, the defilement investigations and the 160 Girls Police Training Program, good touch versus bad touch, and consent. So with the help of our legal interns from Blake's law firm in Toronto and the University of Nairobi law students, we created 12 original lesson videos for our students to learn from. And in addition, one of my favorite parts of the curriculum or the program is the interactive nature of the community discussion board in the app, which we've called the Community Corner. And students can answer questions that they have and also submit creative pieces such as poetry or letters to their favorite human rights heroes. And all of these submissions could end up in the 160 Girls Justice Journal, which is a bi-weekly newsletter that will be available online and also in print. And the print version will be distributed by teams of students, teachers, and police officers, which you can see here in this beautiful illustration that Andrea made. And it will be distributed to people in the community at their homes and also outside of places of worship. And through this distribution, the VJC student leaders will take on leadership roles in their community and be identified as justice leaders in their communities. And this will also allow the program to extend beyond the 135 participants who have the devices, and it'll allow us to share information to the larger community about human rights and sexual and gender-based violence. The newsletter also includes a QR code that anyone in the community can scan, and that will connect them directly with the 160 Girls Defilement Reporting app, so that which they can use to connect with their local rape rescue partners. The third component of the curriculum or the program is the 160 Girls podcast. And each episode of our podcast is a conversation between a Kenyan and North American professional who work in the same field, in the broad field of human rights activism. And they share their stories from their careers and from their involvement with the 160 Girls Project. And the podcast is actually publicly available, and we published the first episode yesterday. So we will be following up and sending you that link so that you can all check out the first episode. And just a note, all of the materials that are part of our curriculum have been vetted by all of our rape rescue partners, our Justice Club teachers, and student leaders to make sure that the content is culturally relevant and accessible to our young audience. The Virtual Justice Club student leaders have also been taught how to support survivors in their communities, and they've been taught what to do if someone confides in them with a case of sexual violence. And they will be able to reach out for help through the 160 Girls Defilement Reporting app, which is downloaded onto all of their tablets, and that will allow them to connect with their local rape rescue centers for support. And the final component that I wanted to share with you all today is the measurement surveys that we've created with our team of experts, Christine, Delane, and Allison. And they are the same team who helped us collect data from the conventional justice clubs. And this image you see here is from those findings. So the Virtual Justice Club students completed a survey at the very start of the program, and they will complete surveys at the end of the program. So we'll be able to measure the impact of the Virtual Justice Clubs, and we'll also be able to use their feedback to improve the program in the future. So thank you so much. And once again, if you have any questions, please write them in the Zoom chat at the end during the Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Madeline. And now we're going to hear from Kula Ropa Waco, who is our amazing legal counsel and 160 Girls National Coordinator in Kenya. And in addition to being a fearless and tireless advocate for change making, Kula is also a kindred spirit for me as a lawyer and non-high-tech person, and we also always are able to laugh together at the things that they don't teach you in law school, including the creative work that we're doing with the Virtual Justice Clubs. So, so Kula, I'm going to hand it over to you, and I think you're going to update us on the live launch events that have happened recently in Kenya.
Oh, thank you, Fiona. Hi, everyone. So I will go through the launch event. We had 3 launch events, one in Nairobi, the other in Kakamega, and finally in Mombasa. The events were amazing. We were able to follow the Ministry of Health protocols, from wearing masks to sanitizers, among other things. In Nairobi, we had the favor of having our senior counsel, Patricia Nyaundi, being our guest speaker. It was amazing. Also, we had our advocate. So for the launches, we will start by having entertainment so that the students can be in the mood. You know, kids cannot handle being boring and everything. So we had to keep them on their toes, excited, among other things. So the program ran for 2 hours. We had the entertainment, then the introduction. We had the chief at the venue. We had the police. We had our advocate, Mudomi and Karanja. We had so we had our guests. So the chief is allowed to endorse the project. And to be honest, it has been amazing. The community has accepted the project. They have welcomed it. And the message they gave to the students and those people who were invited there really moved me, because we have a chief in Mombasa who told of her story, how she got pregnant while she's in Form 1, still a teenager, and she had to go back to school, and she wouldn't wish that for any child. So she's there. If anybody needs her, they can always reach to her for her to take them to the police. and the perpetrators meet justice. So it was, we had, in Kakamega, we had the OCS. His name is Alvin. He was there. He graced the situation. He told the students not to be scared. They can always come to the police station and report this matter. So the students felt safe. They felt everybody is supportive and that they could report this matter at any point in time. So I think the launches, and I believe the launches went well in both Nairobi, Kakamega, and Mombasa. Thank you, Fiona.
Thanks so much, Kula. And next, we're going to hear from Angela Guerrero, who is one of our with one of our lead partners in Nairobi at the Nairobi Women's Hospital, the Gender Violence Recovery Center, and our rape rescue partners, including Angela, are really critical to our success because they are often acting as our bridge between the project partners, the people with experience, say in the law or in apps or in measurement or whatever the focus is, and it's our rape rescue partners that are able to connect us with the beneficiaries of the work, and always there to provide counseling support when we have defilements that are reported. So they are critical to our success, and always amazingly responsive and good-natured in terms of the creative nature of our work. So we're hugely appreciative of that. And now Angela, I think, is going to provide us with some highlights from the Nairobi launch. And over to you, Angela.
So meanwhile, the Nairobi training was at Kibera, and it was a fortunate case for us because Kibera is one of the largest slums in Africa known, and we were lucky to have all the 3 schools around Kibera having the training sessions. We had Joseph Kanyethe, we had Toy Primary, which is at the core of Kibera, and we had Crisco Primary School, or rather Crisco Education Center. So the children received the devices with a lot of excitement. I would even say there's one of them who told me, I'm an orphan. I lost my parents to HIV. I live with my auntie, but I think this device, when I took it home, she came the following day to just follow up. There was a reason why she had to come the following day. She was like, I got home and everyone looked at me with so much confidence, and they kind of started believing in me, whatever that meant. To me, that was really heavy because it meant so much to this girl. And we are talking about Kibera, a slum where last month we had a child of 4 days defiled, where we have recorded 99 pregnancies. And among majorly defilement cases, our Adams branch, that where we offer medical and psychosocial support services to survivors of GBV, receives the most number of survivors from Kibera, and much of the time it's about late presentation. We didn't know where to report, we didn't know how to navigate. So the parents were really excited. I had one parent asking me, so how can my other children access this information? Well, I told them, well, you can share the device, but I want the app. Where can I get it? So there was so much enthusiasm from both the parents and the students. There's a sense of motivation from experience working from schools. Is that children who have been taught about sexual violence and child protection and things like that, and know their rights, we usually see trends of performance go up, because then these are children who have the other stressors have been eliminated from their life. So I'm really excited to see the outcome of this. And I'm keen also, together with my colleague Triza, to follow up and, to the end. We are getting calls from teachers, not with device challenges, but just to tell us how the children are excited, parents are excited. And I like the fact that parents were comfortable to attend the trainings even through to the weekend, and most of them attended, actually all of them attended through to the end. Their days we really ended so late, but the parents were motivated to stay. And the beauty that gives the parents comfort from the feedback they gave us is that this device is not harmful to the children. Harmful in the sense that then the children are not able to download other content that is irrelevant to the knowledge that we want them to cover. So that's also feedback that we got from parents. Like, you see, I'm so comfortable. I was even worried they're going to take photos, but Martin, the IT consultant, kudos, good job. You know, it's a device that they would not even take photos, but the excitement to move to the next level, you know, learn and get to the next level. There's a school, Joseph, that was Crisco, Kula, if I remember well, yes, it was Crisco. We had a child who nearly did the first, you know, the first level, and like, no, so I have to go to the next within today. I was like, you know what, I think I really like that. And so basically that's the feedback from the Nairobi Lounge. It's all excitement, also appreciative of the fact that there's motivation that comes with maintaining the devices that we gave them. It's really a good thing. And they're excited. I feel like they're part of the program, and most of them, we have a few who are transitioning over to high school, and they hope to start these clubs within their schools as well. So they were asking for permission. So next time when I go to Form 1 high school, are we allowed to start these clubs and introduce them through our teachers? I think that's really great impact. And that's what I have to say from my end, unless someone has a question. Thank you.
Martine, we hired as an IT expert on the ground in Kenya to assist us with the app, and it turned out we knew he had a background and an expertise in sexual violence issues, but we didn't know, or I didn't know, that he would be such a superstar trainer and such an amazing mentor for the kids. Encouraging them not to be shy about asking for support, and really funneling their positive energy into the app and the technology. So we're hugely fortunate to have Martine as part of our team, and he's going to update us on the tech information and the training sessions. So Martine, over to you, please.
Hello everyone, welcome to the meeting. My name is Martin James Omondi. From Kenya, and I'd like to take you through the technology component, which includes the training. And personally, I'll say I'm lucky to have entered the portable devices field, and with more than 10 years experience working with portable devices, and these include tablets and mobile phones. And one of the key things that drives me is the belief that technology is not useful until the end user sees the benefit of the technology or the need to use that particular technology. And I remember during our initial meeting, that was my key aim, to make sure that technology is actually useful to the end user that you're going to interact with. So what did we provide to the students in terms of hardware? The students received a tablet, and someone asked a question, what device did the students receive? It's actually a Samsung Tab A device together with a SIM card. Then the SIM card provides mobile internet for this particular device. And then we have a power bank, which is used to charge the tablet because some of them don't have access to power. Then when it comes to software, we have the 160 Girls Virtual Justice application that was developed due to COVID. And then we also have 160 Girls reporting application that's available on Google Play Store. In addition, we have BookSmart application that has a collection of 50 culturally relevant books provided to us by World Reader. And then in addition to all that, we have incentives to the students. And the incentive is 7 games. They're all different, but they have one common goal. They help the students improve their literacy and numeracy skills. When it comes to managing the devices, we deployed a total of 138 devices in the schools, and we had to find a way of managing these devices, making sure that we can track the location of the devices in case of a loss, and we can also troubleshoot the devices. So we came up with a solution which is a mobile device management that we use to remotely install and uninstall softwares, and also allow children or the users to use certain features of this particular tablet. And for now, we are not allowing the students to access the browser, to access YouTube, to access any social media material. They cannot make calls or send SMSs using this tablet. And this is because, it's not because we want to punish the students or we don't want to expose them technologically, but we also have to protect these children because they are vulnerable, and some of them are just in the, most of them actually are teenagers. So we don't want the technological tool we are providing right now to be a deterrence for the children achieving their great future or maybe their education. And the mobile management device software also helps us in terms of if a device is lost, then we can remotely lock or wipe the device. But one feature that the students liked most is when we ask them to hide a device in the room so that we can do a demo of how the device can be found. So all I do is log on to my computer, and it doesn't matter where you've hidden the device sounds an alarm at full volume, and it will only stop when you enter the right passcode. And they were actually very fascinated with this feature. Let me jump onto the training component. For trainings, we organized 9 trainings, and in each training, we had the parents involved and they attended the full training session. The 9 training, that is 3 trainings in each region, and the 3 regions are 300 kilometers geographically apart from each other. So we actually have a wide range of students coming from different regions in the country. Now, during the training, I was surprised, though not very surprised since I've trained in different countries and also in different regions in the country. I was surprised the literacy levels in the areas that you're working in are very low. And also technology exposure is actually very low. Something that you take for granted, like operating your tablet, you may operate your phone using your index finger or your thumb, and it's very easy. For you, it comes automatically. For these particular students, they don't know the right finger to use to operate that particular tablet. Swiping is a new term for them. Downloading, as Fiona said, is a new term for them. So at the beginning, they had to fill a survey, and in some cases, it took more than an hour to fill a very simple survey. But I think it was a very good idea because by the time you finish typing in that particular survey and submit your results, then the rest of the training becomes very easy. At least you get exposed to technology the hard way. And at the end of every training, I'm glad every child was happy and felt confident they are able to operate that particular device. And because the features are also few, it makes it easy for them to use the device. Now, thinking of it in the broader picture, looking at stress levels, the exposure, some of these children may not have the skills to report an abuse case or a defilement case to the police, to their parents, or even to their teachers without the proper knowledge that they need. And with COVID, where they're not going to school, they're just at home, this exposes them to such cases, and there's no way they're able to report such issues because you are not going to school, so no one will easily notice this. But with technology now, even if you don't know how to express yourself or you're afraid to report a particular issue, you can simply type in the issue and read it and admit it, and someone else can help with the follow-up. Now, as I finish, I want to give you some of the insights or feedback that we got from parents. In 2 schools, for the first time in the program, we had parents willing to volunteer in the Virtual Justice Club in their region. And a few parents actually offered advice to the students in the program just after the training because they were touched by the program that we are offering. Number 2, a parent called, and I thought she wanted me to help with troubleshooting, but she called with gratitude and said, my child has stopped roaming around. In Swahili, we call it tanga tanga, which means roaming without purpose. They stopped roaming in the community and now they are home reading. Either they are reading through the Justice Club, a virtual Justice Club application, or using the World Reader application, or the other 7 games that we provided for these children. So at the same time, I came to learn. We are actually helping improve the literacy and numeracy skills of these students. When it comes to acceptance, parental acceptance, I must say it was very, very positive, and we did not have any parent being scared that they are being given a tablet that's going to be in the slums and it's going to get lost, because they learned it actually secure, and in case of a loss, we can easily track, and they can also easily access that particular tablet. And also they felt their children are safe because they are not exposed to Facebook, they are not exposed to Twitter, they are not exposed to WhatsApp or messaging, because this can be really bad if you expose children to social media at such a very young age. And I want to say thank you very much for your time. Let's continue.
Thanks so much, Martin. Next, we're going to hear from 2 of the foundational rock stars of this effort, Clayton Partridge, and Clayton's going to be taking the lead, but working with Clayton has been his friend and colleague, Tanis Vorsteveld. And in this work, I have to say, we meet the whole spectrum of humanity. You meet the perpetrators who commit these offenses, as Angela was mentioning, a perpetrator that recently was involved in a case relating to a 4-day-old baby, and so that's one extreme of the spectrum of humanity that we get exposed to. And then at the other extreme, we have these amazing superstars like Tanis and Clayton, who it was amazing to me that I was sitting in that airport and brainstorming about how we could make this happen. And I reached out to Clayton, who had helped us design and develop our pre-existing app, the 160 Girls Reporting app. And I wanted to check, but I didn't get a chance today. But I think it was less than 24 hours that Clayton got back to me and just expressed his unconditional support for this initiative, and recruited his friend and colleague Tanis, and I know that it has been a huge amount of work, and Tanis and Clayton and the team, we would spend every Friday during the peak of the pandemic catching up and brainstorming and building the app so that it was responsive to the vision that we had. And they were incredibly tolerant and patient in terms of the learning curve that some of the lawyers on the team were on. And ultimately, I remember near the end of the experience, before we started launching, Clayton mentioned that this was one of the top 10 most complicated apps he'd ever built. And it's amazing to me, you'll see as he takes us through it, that it looks so seamless, and it's like, I think it's a piece of art in terms of app options. But when my spouse, who's in IT, asked me, like, how is it so complicated and why is it so complicated, I couldn't even repeat. Like, I had no idea what, like, I couldn't begin to tell you what Clayton had expressed to me, because it's so highly advanced in terms of the work that's been done on it. So I'm not going to try and explain any of this. I'm going to hand it over to Clayton, who's going to take us through the 160 Girls Virtual Justice Club app, and just again another huge thank you to Tanis and Clayton for bringing this vision to life. So Clayton, over to you.
Hi everyone. I got reached out to back in April, and immediately turned around and twisted Tanis's arm into. It didn't take very much twisting, actually. He's like, yeah, for sure, right away. And by the way, he's in communication with me right now. You might see a message pop up on the screen from him. I've asked him to do that. Yeah, there we go. I haven't started sharing my screen. Oh, damn it! All right, let me start sharing, and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, here we go. Now we can send a message and we'll see it. All right, so I just wanted to show a couple production artifacts. The first 50 to 60% of this project was all Tanis. And we went from just sketches like this to discuss how things might work, flow diagrams, discussing what sort of screens might be involved, talking with the team about what sort of material will be presented in terms of newsletters, podcasts, lessons, videos, and what other sort of components they wanted to have be part of this application. So we were a very detailed process. This is a formal process that we've gone through many times before. Tanis and myself have worked in this field, specifically in the area of advertising, for years and years and years, and we're very used to dealing with, in particular, end clients that don't have very much digital experience. So we're used to sort of going from initial conceptual ideas all the way through to production. So this wasn't completely new to us. We were quite familiar with the process. Here I'm showing the latest version of the design files that Tanis produced in terms of the screens of the application. I'm going to show you those in action in a moment. But I just wanted to give you an idea of some aspects of the sort of prep work, the iceberg below the surface water, so to speak, that people often aren't aware of until they actually get into development. You know, the product is very, you know, it seems it's just a thing. You know, it seems kind of shallow. There's not too much to it, but there's actually a great deal underneath the surface. So here's the app itself. I'm sharing this in browser. This is a development instance of the application. It's actually going to be showing content that isn't available to the students yet. So the application itself over time will release the content, but this version actually shows everything that's available at the moment. So when students first open up the application, the first thing they get is this survey. And this is so that we can collect some statistical information. I know there's a whole data analytics team involved in this, and we can collect that information and hand that over to them so that they can collate that and basically, you know, learn some things that will be important in terms of how the program develops over time. So I pre-filled all these fields so I don't have to do them again. And once you complete that, it gives you a thank you message, and then it moves on to the actual onboarding screens. It's a welcome message. The next screen is the welcome video. I don't know if you can hear the audio from my computer. So this is a welcome video from all of the legal interns. The next screen, the students get to choose how they'll be identified within the application. They get to choose a handle. So these handles are randomly generated using an adjective and a noun, so that every single student within the program will get their own unique name. There won't be two courteous doves. There will only be one. So if I select courteous dove, I'm the only courteous dove now. We give them a sampling of some of the avatars they can choose from. So they can choose this avatar to start with, but they can change that later on if they so choose. And then we ask them to sort of provide an introduction about themselves. And so this information is submitted, but it's not actually shown to anyone. And part of the portion of the application that is still currently under development is a vetting interface. So we do want to share this information among the students, but we want to make sure that somebody has reviewed it and vetted it to make sure that no personally identifiable information is included in there, and also nothing offensive that we wouldn't want other students to see. So that vetting interface is still under production at the moment. And then the last portion, and this is an interesting idea that Tanis came up with, was to sort of poll the students on a regular basis. So when they first launched the application, we asked them to sort of tell us using emojis how they're feeling today. But every day that they open the application, it asks them again, a modal comes up and it asks them, how are you feeling today? So we can sort of get a sense of their mood, their feelings towards the application, etc. So I'm gonna say I'm very happy. And here's the application itself. This is the home screen of the application. So Most prominent, of course, is the lessons. So there's a carousel of all the lessons across the top here. What it will do is it will show the most recently available lesson first, because all the lessons are available at the moment. It showed you the very last one, actually the exit survey. But for the students themselves, they're going to see the most recent lesson that's available to them. Below, down here, we've got the profile icon. They can click on that to edit their profile, change their profile icon. And then you can access the other different sections of the application, the Justice Journal, the podcast, the Community Corner, the apps, various videos, a dictionary. They can submit help requests, and then there's an about page about the application itself. So I'm going to give you a quick tour of the different sections of the application, starting with a lesson. So this is the first lesson. The first lesson actually consists of multiple components. First is the lesson presentation itself. It's sort of a PowerPoint presentation, but formatted in a way that can be much smaller than a PowerPoint presentation for distribution. There's a series of videos that the student can watch. There's a quiz that's presented to them. There's a community conversation question. So that's where they have an opportunity to respond to a question, and then their response will be available or potentially selected to be shown inside of the newsletter, and also once it's completed on the community corner, so that students within the same cohort can see what the other students were saying. And then, of course, the Human Rights Hero of the Week. So I'll start with the actual presentation, lesson presentation. So I'm going to mute this tab. So I don't know if you could hear the audio playing on that, but basically it's a narrated presentation. It steps through the slides automatically. You can step forward and back. There's a limitation on this screen that prevents you from clicking the next button until the amount of time that the duration of the presentation is completed. That's very common in e-learning systems to do that sort of thing. We also have a full transcript of the lesson for students to read if they so chose. And that's basically the form of the lesson itself. I'll skip through a few more of the slides here so that you can see this. In the case of these lesson presentations, I've actually engaged another friend of mine, Rob Snyder, to help me do the production of these lesson presentations. So as I go on, there's going to be more and more names that I start dropping in terms of people I've pulled in to help with this. So there's a variety of slides, each with different content. There's narration that accompanies each one of those, and it automatically forwards so that the narration corresponds with the slide. In addition to that, we've got these videos. So these videos are sort of general videos associated with the subject of the week. The video player for that. You can step through the videos, or you can go back to the main presentation. There's the weekly quiz that the students can do. The quiz is not a test. It's sort of to reinforce what they've learned. So if they do get a question wrong, it's not about giving them a score or something like that. We just want to let them know that, you know, one of your answers or one or more of your questions, your answers were incorrect. Go back and take another look, and we make it clear to them, you know, I'd selected no for this question. Correct answer is yes. So all I have to do is select the correct one, and it will allow me to continue. This is the community corner screen. This is where a question is posed to the students each week, and they can provide an answer here and then submit it. Those will be collected by a remote server and then reviewed, vetted, and potentially shown in the community corner section of the application. And last, we have the Human Rights Hero of the Week. So we've got text and information about that person, a few photographs, and then as well a couple of videos. So here we have a speech to the Nobel Prize Committee. So, and as you proceed, you can see that I've completed a couple of these elements, but I haven't completed all of them. As you complete items, it sort of fills in the bar here until you've completed the entire lesson. And it will present sort of a modal to you to let you know, good job, you've completed that lesson. The application is actually set up so that it will, as lessons are made available within the app, it sends a notification to the tablet. So it actually plays the first few bars of the 160 Girls Anthem and lets the students know that there's a new lesson available or a new podcast available or a newsletter available. And if they tap on that, they'll go directly into that lesson. And there's also a follow-up reminder. So if they haven't completed that item, if they haven't looked at that newsletter or completed that lesson, after a few days, they get another notification saying, hey, don't forget to do this. So we're sort of drawing them back in so that we make sure that they do complete all the course material. Then we have the Justice Journal here. This is something that we haven't released any yet, but we have a sample of one of the issues here. It's basically just a PDF document that they can view within the application. So the idea is that the content that the students are providing through the community corner, selections from that will be taken and then shown like this here, where Blue Moon from Mombasa said, I learned the meaning of the word lawsuit and the legal victory that was secured by the Equality Effect team. So similar things, but it will be actual student content that will be shown in places like this. That is the Justice Journal. Next, we have the podcasts. So we have a whole bunch of podcasts here. They're listed in reverse chronological order. So the first podcast, this is the one that the link will be shared to shortly, but we have a whole bunch of other podcasts that will become available over time. We've prepared this content. Again, this is not stuff that is available just yet to the students, but let's take a look at this first podcast here. So when you open the podcast, the students actually get to see the speakers of the podcast. And as the speakers are talking, show a sort of subtitle of what the person is speaking or what they're saying. So, you know, if somebody like me is speaking with a Canadian accent and the people are having difficulty understanding it, at least they have the ability to see it or be able to read it as it goes. As well, the person's icon zooms and becomes larger so you know which person is actually talking. And just like the lessons, there's a full transcript of all of this. And for that, I twisted the arms of my children to help transcribe all of this stuff. And somehow they managed to talk my wife into helping as well. So she's helped out a fair bit on this too. So there's a variety of podcasts here. As they complete items in the application, you'll see that the check mark is shown beside a particular item on the main menu screen. We've got a counter. So I've looked at one Justice Journal, I've worked at one podcast, the counter has gone down from 12 to 11. The next section I'll show is just the profile section screen. This is where a student could go in and potentially select another application icon if they wanted to switch to it. Over time, we can release more application icons or profile icons to the students. There's the application section so from this screen, the students can launch any of the applications that are distributed with the tablet as well. So they can open the 160 Girls project application, the BookSmart application, and a few other sort of general learning and literacy and numeracy applications. The video section basically provides a listing of all of the videos that are available in the application, and this actually grows over time. So as lessons are revealed to the students, they appear, and there's videos in those lessons. Those videos appear in this section as well. So at any time, they can go back and reference the videos that they saw. You can see here is the Nobel Prize lecture for the human rights hero, and even the instruction video and the help video are shown within this section. We have a dictionary. So for all of the legal terms that might pop up through the course of the application, all of those words are provided here with a definition, and the students can filter that by a particular letter as they so choose. And every day there's a new word of the day, and that's shown at the top with the word itself and the description of the word. We've got the help request section. So in the help request section, we show the help video to the students. So if they're having difficulty with the application, they can watch this video first, sort of get a little bit of self-help in terms of how to use the application. This is a video recorded by Martine, and it goes through in a great deal of detail how to use the application. And it's very similar to what the students were taught on the training sessions, but it's good that there's a bit of a refresher available to them once they actually have the application. And then if depending on the issues they're having, if they have technical difficulties, if they're having questions about the lessons, or if they want to report a defilement or something like that, they have the ability to do that through the application here. For the first two items, they can submit the question right here. We have a bit of a FAQ or FAQ, frequently asked questions section here. So if they have a question like my tablet is low on battery and I don't know how to charge it, they can see the answer to that right away. They don't have to necessarily submit a question. But if they do have a question, they have the ability to do that right here. Likewise, the same functionality works for the lesson content. For the defilement request, we provide some instructions about how to do that within the 160 Girls application. And if they tap this button right here, it will open that application and they'll be able to go into the section of that application to submit that report. We have a sort of a partners page where there's a little bit of information about the people that contributed to the application and the sponsors of the application. And the final section, which is still under production, is this community court section. And there is some complexity involved in this, and it's mainly around concerns for privacy and concerns about the type of content that the students are exposed to. The goal of this page will be to show students a listing of the other students in their cohort. That listing, all you'll be seeing is their icon and their handle. You won't actually be seeing their real name. Likewise, in the back end of this system, we aren't actually recording any personally identifiable information. Each student is given a student number, and their details are tracked based on that alone. And then within the section, once you select a particular student in the cohort, you'll be able to see their responses to the previous community corner questions and answers. So you'll be able to see, once, you'll see each other in the neighborhood or something like that. You might communicate with them and say, well, I'm Faithful Dove or something like that, and they'll tell you their name, and then you'll be able to go in here and see what they contributed without actually having any personally identifiable information involved in that. But the additional layer to that as well is that all of this content will be vetted, reviewed, approved, potentially even edited before it appears on the screen of this application. So that's sort of a quick overview of the application itself. In the back end, this is an application, but it's also a platform in terms of the way we've built it, so that this program for the VJC is just one potential program session we could do with this application. This same platform could be used for other e-learning content as well. And I don't want to speak too much about that, but there is the potential for doing that in the future for Equality Effect as well. I think that's about it from me. Did I miss anything, Tanis? She's probably stepped away. All right, I'm going to stop sharing, and thank you all very much.
Great, thanks so much, Clayton. That was amazing. So I'm not sure if I'm on mute. I think I'm okay. We had wanted to save some time for Q&A, and we're tight on time now. I know we have 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds to if we're going to meet our time restriction. So maybe if people can stay with us, you're welcome to drop off, because I know we are at the top of the hour. But if we can maybe dedicate 5 minutes to a Q&A, and then a couple of minutes to wrap up at the end, I think that would be great. Madeline, did you want to manage the Q&A? Oh, there's Tanis. I'm still here. Okay. Madeline, I don't know, how do you feel about that? I think we're probably in better hands with you controlling this option than me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw, while Clayton was speaking, I saw Brittany asked a question about the data that we're collecting through the pre-program and exit surveys. And she asked what kind of data we'll be collecting that will highlight the impact of the VJCs. So we actually have a couple members of our measurement team on today, but I can just briefly go over it, and if they have anything to add, they can throw it in the chat. So the surveys had a few different sections, as you saw, as Clayton sort of briefly went over them. There are general questions about just gauging the students' excitement for the program, their apprehension, if they have any concerns about anything. And then there is a defilement reporting section where we ask if they feel comfortable speaking about sexual violence with people, if they understand how you might go about reporting a defilement. And then there is a section about police interaction. So with the newsletter, they will be interacting with police as they deliver the newsletter in the community. And so just in the beginning, we will be asking them how they feel about interacting with the police and sort of their relationship with police officers in their communities. And then at the end, sort of seeing how that might change or evolve. And then the final section is about the technology. So in the beginning of the program, we've asked them how, if they've ever used a tablet before, and their comfort level with navigating a device or an app. And then at the end, hopefully that comfort level will, they'll feel very comfortable by the end of it. So those are sort of the main things that we're trying to gauge. And we will be able to compare those findings to the conventional justice clubs. And also there are multiple instances in the surveys where students can write in just open text fields, so they can share any additional thoughts they might have for improvement of the program. So I hope that answers your question, Brittany. And I'm just looking at the chat here. So Morgan has asked, if users report harm or abuse through the Q&A in the app, what happens with that information? So that's a great question. Within the app, we have, so Clayton, before the VJC app was ever created, Clayton actually created a different app for the 160 Girls Project, and it's a defilement reporting app that anyone can download, and it allows users to submit information about any case of sexual violence, and all of that information is collected on our end by Kula, who you heard from earlier today, who is our national coordinator based in Nairobi. And that information is used to connect the person who reported the defilement or the abuse with their local rape rescue center for more local support. And I'm just seeing lots of thank yous, and if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to write them here in the Zoom chat. Lots of compliments so far. So if no one has any other questions, I think we can wrap it up.
Great, thanks so much, Madeline. So just in terms of a quick wrap up, I wanted to highlight some of our next steps, which will be continuing to roll out the virtual justice clubs. And as I mentioned earlier, eventually when the schools reopen, we aim to create a hybrid of the virtual justice clubs and the conventional clubs. Some of our partners have been in touch and said we should do virtual all the time. We love the virtual, and I feel like we're only at the very beginning, really, of the rollout. So and I think we'll definitely experiment with the hybrid of the conventional and the virtual, and we'll also be continuing to roll out to the public the Justice Journals, providing copies of the Justice Journals and the podcast. So if people sign up with our social media options, those will be available to you, and we'll continue to send out email updates on an occasional basis. We don't want to saturate you with email updates, and we are looking forward to, in and around March 8th, International Women's Day, hosting another event like this. And at that event, we want to introduce you to some of the virtual justice club leaders, some of the beneficiaries of the work on the ground, who have been using the app and engaging with the Justice Journal out in the community. And also some of the teachers, some more of the rape rescue partners, maybe some of the police. So so that will be kind of a great opportunity, I think, to really connect with some of the people that are actually engaging with this work. So so we'll keep you updated on that. And then finally, I would just like to say a huge thank you to all our partners who are featured in this slide here. And I would like to say a special thank you to our E² Virtual Justice Club team, who recently I heard of a Chinese proverb that goes that is a great leader is an invisible leader. And I thought really that the converse is true, that a great team allows for an invisible leader. And I think that the team that we have working on this project really is amazing, that they walk that fine balance of working independently, taking initiative, being creative about problem solving, and maintaining a good sense of humor in the face of those challenges, and at the same time maintaining accountability and prioritizing the plan, and working collaboratively. And it is an absolute pleasure to work with this team, and really it never feels like work to me. All of the team members that you heard from today, and our funders and our measurement team members, and the entire crew are a delight. And in closing, I'd just like to say a final thank you to the girls on the front line who have held us to task, who communicated at the very beginning when I was sitting in that airport watching the world shut down around us. And they basically said the show must go on, like we have to keep the justice clubs going. So so a huge thank you, Kubwa Asante Sana Tena, to those girls for their inspiration and their fortitude. So so thank you again, and any other questions that come up, you can definitely be in touch. We'll be happy to follow up by email, and happy International Human Rights Day, everyone. Have a great day or a great evening. Bye now.